everyday life issues broken down to help you build your own opinions on the issues that matter most. Coming to you from Austin, Texas, this is The Deciding Factor with your host, Alton Hill and John Herzog.
Hey. It's the end of the year. I'm John.
And I'm Barb.
And with us today is not Alton, it's actually Wade. How are you doing, Wade?
What's up, guys? Good to see you.
So, if you're watching us live now, welcome. We are live on both Facebook and YouTube. As you've noticed, Alton is not here with us right now. And in fact, he will not be returning, unfortunately. His business started getting really busy, so he is focused 100% on that. So we commend him for that, and we will miss him, but I'm sure he will visit back with us soon. So Wade's going to step in for him right now. And Barb, what have you been up to? It's been a long time.
It's been a long, I was going to say, like, since our last show. Let me think. Fall. We did Christmas. We could have done a lot of things since our last show.
I know. Hey, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've lost 18 pounds.
Congratulations. Well done, sir. I thought you were going to show me that you finally, like, shaved your neck, and I'm like, that's good.
Yeah, shaved it
awesome.
too,
okay. Yeah.
But
18 pounds,
my hair is getting close to what Wade looks like, so we're kind of getting there.
Things to come, sir. Things to come. Stone Cold look, we're just going to add Friar Tuck. It's going to be one of two. Still the Friar Tuck.
Man. So Wade's here from Austin, Texas as well. Barb's still living in that crap hole shoot called what was it called again?
Yeah, I can't say that on the air, but I will tell you it's snow. There's snow here.
Oh. We have
nice.
Summer weather here.
I'm amazed.
It was
what?
80 degrees.
Summer
80
weather
degrees today. 80 degrees.
No snowmen
today.
for you.
No.
Yeah, and since he doesn't have AC in his house, he's still sweating. You'll see it throughout the show. But so we have a little bit of a different format. So we're going for news and politics. So we've got three main topics that we're going to hit on today. We have Rittenhouse, we have transgender athletes, and then also we are going to talk about possible war with China and Russia. Now, Wade actually specializes in news and politics because he doesn't really do much of a job. So he just sits there and listens to TV all day. So we'll see what he's learned.
Fair enough.
So Wade doesn't get out much, so we're going to start there. Okay, that's good.
It's okay. I'm a delivery driver, so whatever.
No judgment. All good things.
So anywho,
that's right.
That
it's
being
like Superman,
said,
we have other. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
If you haven't noticed, Jason Statham here is going to be our guest going forward. I have always thought he looked like Jason Statham. Do you see it, Barb?
See, I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't know who that was till you told me, like, this guy coming on the show looks just like, I'm like, okay. So I went and looked it up. You kind of, yeah.
Huh. You should see him in person. It gets a lot closer.
Jason Statham or Wade?
Wade.
Okay.
I'm a little bit taller. Than Jason. He's probably 5'8". I'm 6'4".
Poor Jason. What a loser. Okay.
I used to be 6 foot. Yeah.
I used to be 6'4" too, but hey.
Then you lost your hair. I understand.
Yeah, I lost my hair, and that's what happened. All right, so Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse was this big case that happened. So Wade, can you kind of just give us a little insight as to what really went down with the Rittenhouse case?
Well, I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, from what I've all my talking heads that I've said what they've said and their information, and they seem to be spot on because it's corroborated with other like-minded stations is that the courts got it right. The courts got the decision right. It just took way too long to get to that point, causing what didn't need to happen. Kyle Rittenhouse should have never been in that situation where he was forced to use his divine spirit to protect, to do the right thing, to guard, to protect, to defend property against, people that are wanting to destroy it. I mean, and you have to keep in mind also that Wisconsin is a Democrat governor, Democrat Kenosha is a Democrat mayor, and the DA in Kenosha is the mayor's nephew, and he's a Democrat. So all this was a perfect storm that didn't have to happen. It didn't have to happen if the government's one and only job is to protect its citizens. That's the only job of the government. That's the reason why it was installed, is to protect from tyranny, from outsiders, from what is, to protect itself, to protect its people. And it didn't do that to the tune of a Democrat-ran state was defunded, and police were allowed to sit on the side, or forced to sit on the sideline while the town burned. And so Kyle Rittenhouse doing what a honorable and a upstanding American would do, I would do it, is go out and protect. People say that he was crossing the state lines. He lived 20 miles away in the neighboring city.
Gotcha.
And
so
it's not, go ahead.
So let me take a step back for those that don't know the Rittenhouse case, what really happened. So what took place was back when we had the Black Lives Matter movement, right? And Barb, did you even get to see any of the live video when this went down?
Yeah.
You did? Okay. So basically there were a bunch of protesters taking up the streets. This kid, Kyle Rittenhouse, who is 18,
he was 17 at the time,
sorry,
wasn't
he was 17. Yeah. Was down on the streets. He had an AR-15, and he said he was helping people. Anywho, he got put in a situation where some people started chasing him down, and while they were chasing him down, he turned around and returned fire. Keep in mind, all of this is actually caught on video. So if you want to check it out, go to YouTube, type in Rittenhouse, and watch the live footage yourself. But after shooting that individual, he took off, ran towards the cops, trying to find them, gets attacked by several other men. He ends up getting knocked to the ground, shoots another person, does kill him, and then as he's getting up, another guy ends up getting shot by him as well. Finally, he gets up and he makes a beeline to the cops. And that's kind of where the story ended until the trial came up. And that's where Wade was really kind of talking about, where the verdict came out that he was innocent and that it was self-defense. The problem is
Correct.
I think you got to kind of break it all down to really see what your opinion really is.
Right. So my opinion is based on what you just said. I should have done a better way of the backstory on it before. I'm assuming our audience is up to speed, but I'll do a better job of the backstory as I move forward. But my point is that it should have never happened, and that the fact that it did is a crime, and the fact that it took as long as it did to come to what it was a buildup of media and animosity and all these bad things that lead up to what we had, riots, and on that sort of case, and it's not okay. It's not okay because it puts the innocents in harm's way when it didn't have to be. So Kyle Rittenhouse was there to assist in CPR and medical training. He was taking off graffiti, putting out fires, and he was not hired, but there's one the spot that was being in jeopardy of being lost was a car lot, and one owner owned 3 car lots on different parts of town. And well, these militiamen, if you will, were guarding these spots, and so he was going around tending to these spots to making sure that there was no problems, and that's when all went loose, all went bad. But more so than that, during the trial, the FBI brought out a video, a infrared drone video of the whole thing, like a bird's eye view, and you can see where Kyle Rittenhouse is, and you can track him, and that video would have set him free from day one. But they drug this thing out for what reason? Why? That's what my question is why are they dragging this out for 18 months? It didn't have to be a way.
Well, that particular footage was actually under scrutiny because it was not brought up before the case, in which they needed to reveal that information ahead of time, which was a big no-no and possibly caused a mistrial, but we didn't get that far. We'll get into that in a second. Barb, after seeing the footage, what do you think about what you saw?
Like, I agree with Wade that you look at what happened with the riots, and no matter how angry you are about whatever the thing, right? Whatever your issue is, your rights stop at the other guy's nose. And that's where our law enforcement should have stepped in, didn't. So when I look at this, honestly, the whole thing strikes me as heartbreaking. On the one hand, well done to his dad for raising a son that was not afraid to go out there. On the other hand, he's going to have to live with this for the rest of his life because government failed to do what government was supposed to do. Like Wade said, right? You're supposed to protect the citizens. I don't have as big of an issue with the length of the trial. I think that, well, let me back up. I think there's a lot to be said for the excesses in our justice system. I think there's problems all throughout. I don't think it's unique to this case, right? That it took too long. But I do think that there's something, it needed to be investigated. You've got a 17-year-old kid. People died. It needed to be investigated. I think that they came to the right conclusion. I don't per se have a problem with the process. Now, do I think that he's the only one that should have been on trial? I don't. I think that there's quite a few people that should have been on trial in this mess. I'm glad that he was.
But should they really have had a trial? Wasn't there enough evidence to straight up say it was self-defense?
Probably not in that state.
Wade?
That's a good point. That's a pretty good point. Laws different from state to state, and especially if the cards are stacked against you with, like, so if you have a DA that's a Democrat that's executing criminals, and you have a mayor that won't let the police do their job. I mean, there's no other choice, but you have to defend yourself. I mean, there's no one's going to do it for you. If Kyle Rittenhouse would not have shot that guy, that Kyle Rittenhouse wouldn't be here today.
Yeah,
that's
which
it.
one are you talking about?
All 3 of them.
Yeah, I was going to say any of them. Actually.
All 3 of them.
I think there's something to be said, though, for doing the trial, even, and I'm just thinking out loud, I guess, but even for Kyle's protection. I think that having due process out in public, to have it beaten to death, I think that it protects, what do you want to say? It cleans out all the corners. I think that if there hadn't been a trial, then there would have been accusations of misconduct. There would have been, I think the mess could have been even greater. And there was obviously quite a reaction to the verdict. I think it could have been worse had they not gone through the system.
True, but answer me this: if the cards are stacked against you, the longer they're stacked against you without the truth coming out, the more of a chance that you are defamed and labeled as XYZ. There's been no, the president said he was a racist. The media said this is a race crime. They're saying that Kyle Rittenhouse killed black men.
Of course,
they had no idea, but I know. I'm just saying.
I was going to say
the most powerful.
No, I was going to say that the president also says that he was in Senate for like dozens and dozens of years. Like millions of years. Right. And so, I mean, like I'm just saying, like he has things he says don't carry a ton.
Right, but what I'm saying is that the media will echo that, and that will be carried out for months on end, if not years, and defaming him. He lost GoFundMe pages. He lost all this stuff because Facebook cut him off because he was under trial or under scrutiny or whatever about being. So they wouldn't allow him right of whatever you call it to be himself and to be left alone. If you ask me, he should sue every one of those news agencies for defaming him because they jumped just like Nick Sanders.
But they would have done that no matter what. That was not caused by the trial. That was caused by the fact of someone responding to the riots in a way that did not play the race game. That's going to happen no matter what. I don't think that somebody like Kyle Rittenhouse can afford to spend his life concerned about his reputation. If that was his main concern, he wouldn't have been there that night. And that's why I think hats off to him for not suing. You're not going to win a defamation case.
Well, he hasn't sued yet, and I think it's going to come. But that brings up the question of the media coverage of this case. Was it good, bad, or overdone in some way?
Well, when was the last time you trusted the media on anything? I guess I don't see why we're surprised. Right? Like, I don't see any surprise here. They handled his case the exact same way they've handled, everything else. Everything is racist. Do you know in Washington State, we have a teacher who has proclaimed that to say that 2 + 2 is 4 is racist? What? That it's yeah, right? You want that person designing your airplane, don't you? Everything, like, I guess I just look at this and I think there's no surprise here for me. Of course, the media coverage was nuts, like it is on everything else.
Okay, so the media coverage, in my opinion, is a little overdone to the extent of even after the case was done, there's a lot of division in these answers. I've got family, I've got friends, and people of both sides of the aisle, and they have some really strict and harsh words about Rittenhouse and what he did. I won't name names, but there's someone close to me that has said straight up that the kid is guilty and he should have served time in jail because he should have never had a gun. He should have never been there. And if it were a black person, it would have had a different outcome.
Bullshit. Because
I was going to say after ponderable, but yeah, okay, that's the idea.
Well, hang on a minute, because right after that verdict was passed, a racist black man ran through a crowd, a parade, and injured 40, killed 6. And you haven't heard a word from anyone about that guy. And he was racist. His songs were all about kill Whitey. His Facebook rants was all about that. You don't hear a word. Yes.
Back up. His songs?
He was a rap artist. Yeah, he was a rap artist. He was I guess a amateur rapper, so he made some CD. So if you were to look his name up, and you could look up his songs and say, I haven't done it, but my people that I listen to have played songs, not in there, but enough for me to get the understanding about where his mind was. And his mind was not equality. It was about that man has held me down my entire life and give me a reason. And that's just not okay from anyone. Personally.
I got you. I see where you're trying to get at. No, but when you do look at the Rittenhouse as far as race, there were only 2 incidences that I heard of that kind of link, right? So there was one black person that tried to kick him, and they referred to him as the drop kick man, right? During the trial, that's his name. And Kyle Rittenhouse was already down on the ground, having been hit in the head with either a rock or just a solid fist, and then skateboard on. Yeah, so he had two different things.
Skateboard.
And then while he's down on the ground, this drop kick man did a drop kick on his head. And no one knows who he was. We don't have a name tied to him even during the trial. The guy just disappeared. Guy didn't get shot. But if you go through that particular scene, Rittenhouse actually kept from shooting multiple people throughout the whole process. So it was very interesting. Yeah. It was very interesting how that went down. But yes, they viewed, I don't know how they pulled racism out of it when he didn't even assault the black guy that hit him. The only other thing,
I mean, it's a worldview thing. We are at a point societally where Karl Marx's idea about critical race theory are rampant. This is everywhere. It's in your schools. It's in your newspaper. I don't think that it's a surprise. Why would it not be racist when everything else is, right? I mean, that's the narrative that we're getting everywhere you go.
So the only other point that was brought up to me is at the end when he's walking towards the cops, right? He's got the assault rifle draped around his neck. He's saying, "I shot somebody," and he's got his hands up. So I've had people tell me that that's racist in the sense that if it were a black man with a gun strapped around his neck, he would have gotten shot, tackled, or something. And what happened with Rittenhouse is they told him to leave. They did nothing. He's telling them, home. "I shot them," and they said,
and they, yeah, and he went to the police station. They, after going to that barricade, they said, "Go to police station." He went to police station. They said, "Go." They said, "Go home." He went home. Where in the world has that ever happened? Yeah, I just killed a man. You can go home. It's never happened.
It's like they didn't want to believe him because he's a little kid.
He was young.
Well, I mean, it's sad. Is the fact that we're talking about this and candidly is sad. I mean, it's sad that we have stooped so low to such recklessness, and that we're laughing about a guy that surrendered himself in the home because he shot someone. That's just absurd. Absurd. And I'm sorry that happened ever.
I just it still baffles me that people get extremely offensive and pissed off when it comes to the verdict of this case, though, because I promise you, I've got some really close friends, and we think alike. Family too. You've heard them. You've been around them.
I know.
and it's unbelievable how they view this as a guilty verdict, even though we had 9 jurors that acquitted him. Now, one other little unique thing to this case, right, is the judge kind of held over this card of a mistrial. Did y'all read up or see about that? That was a very odd and unique thing, in my opinion, because what really happened was, we're having this trial, and they filed for a mistrial, and it basically it was never voted on by the judge, right? So it's like the judge was going to say, "Hey, depending on their verdict, we're going to review this at the end, and I might leave it as a mistrial." Issues with that, or is that normal process?
Yeah, I think it's a normal process.
Really?
My understanding is that that's something that is allowed legally to get the whole story before they determine whether or not. So I don't feel fazed by it, I guess.
That is true, Barb, but just like in the J. Simpson, he said not guilty, not guilty. He wrote a book about how he did it 10 years after he did it, or 15 years, after he was acquitted. He wrote a book on how he did it. And but the reason why he was acquitted was of what it was going to happen. So if you ask me, the play was to stretch this thing out and create such a stir from the people that they have to find them guilty, because if not, I mean, there was was it a CNN or MSNBC reporter following the jury's home to get their asses names so they can be
MSNBC
jacked with. Yeah, like
Yeah.
there was some like, I'm sure y'all heard about that. Why isn't that dude in jail? You know what I'm saying? Like they were trying to extort, to cause problems, and why is that looked at or considered or even thought of? Like, that real crime is the stuff that they're not looking at, the stuff that they gloss over. The main problem that is the catalyst for all this bullshit.
Well,
Sorry.
no, say it again. Do it again.
Yeah, definitely. You should say it more than once. That'll fix it. Yeah.
It'll make my life better. Trust me.
Sort of a delay there. Yeah, you said something about hockey. Yep.
So let's go on to the next topic. We wanted to cover this topic just because it was a really big event that happened over this time from our last show that we had. So kind of felt like it was a must. It was a must that we did this. So our next topic is transgender athletes, right? And the biggest one right now is that swimmer, Leah Thompson is his or her name. He or her swims for UPenn.
This is going to be a hard conversation, isn't it? Just the pronouns we're getting stuck.
Yeah. What do you refer to
guy in the place?
as?
And I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think you refer to him as confused is what you should refer to. No, I'm joking, but maybe so. Seriously, I don't.
We're gonna send you all his cell phone number here shortly. And then you can call him and tell him how you really feel.
Well, I mean, look, it's real simple. If I had to ask a transgender person one question, I would say, "Give me your age," and they would say, "Oh, I'm 25." And I said, "Well, why aren't you 55?" And they'll go, "Because I'm not 55." Well, that's the reason why you're not a boy. It's because you're a girl. God made you that way. Be proud, own it. Now, you don't have to necessarily abide by all the girly things and the girl walks, but you cannot change that. No matter how hard you try, I cannot be 55 years old. I cannot be 3 again. I cannot identify as an attack helicopter. Can't
mentally
do it.
Or physically?
I can, but either way, if someone goes to that extent to make that claim, I don't want to be friends with that person, because every 15 minutes is a new day for them. And you can't trust someone that doesn't know who or what they are, honestly, or at least come to terms with the reality of what they are, and dealing with that is one other way to do it. And like I said, I have a gay sister-in-law and a gay nephew. So they are very much boy and girl, and they are very much human beings and act like it. I would not trade them for any other thing in the world, because they are who they are and they're proud of it. They aren't hiding it. They aren't trying to say that there's something when they're not. They are what they are, and they're okay with it. They own it. And that's the best kind of person, someone that owns who and what they are.
So by your logic, though,
personally.
Okay, but by your logic, if the transgender athlete says, "No, this is what I am. I have decided this is who and what I am," how is it any different from what you're saying? Well, it seems like there's a relativism that underlies this that I don't think you can pick and choose. You either have to embrace a full relativism, or you're saying
when I say
they know who they are, right? By what standard?
They are a gay woman and a gay man. They're a gay woman and a gay man, and they own that. They don't try to be try to be a woman acting like a man. She's very much a girl, but she's not trying to act like a man because does it make sense? So if she's a girl and she's gay,
It seems like a really arbitrary
Right,
line to draw if you don't have a reason behind it. So I would look and say,
well, I
there
think he's
is
talking about more of the confusion between whether you're really a man or a woman.
yeah,
I think
this is what I'm saying. Like if we're not willing to say, okay, we're just going to light this show on fire. If you're not willing to say marriage should be between a man and a woman, and this is what a man means, and this is what a woman means, but you're okay with giving up part of that, but you're not okay with giving up the rest of it. That's what I don't understand. By what standard? How can you say on the one hand, marriage doesn't have to be between a man and a woman? It's equally fine to be homosexual or not, but then it's not okay for the transgender person to say, and now I have decided to be a man. I have decided to be like, they seem just as sure. My question about all of this is by what standard? And I think that we have okay, then there's a problem with the homosexuality. Then we have to have, if he's drawing the lines, then you got to draw the lines all over the place. And I think that is how we address the transgender athlete thing too. But I think as a nation, we've given up acknowledging that there is such a thing as right and wrong. We've so far embraced relativism that as much as I can look at this and be like, yeah, you couldn't win in men's sports, so you decided to go compete in women's. That's lame. I can look at that and say, I see all kinds of problems with it. But as a nation, I think we have to admit that we embraced a relativistic way of a worldview years and years ago. And this is the fruit. This is a really logical end for what we chose decades ago.
I can tell you now. Go ahead, Sean. Sorry.
Well, what's funny is this throws me back to our right to carry conversation that we had on our podcast. It was you and Alton versus me, basically, is what it turned into.
Was that the day that you played liberal? Because I remember that day. Okay, got it.
No, but it was like there was no give or take, right? It was like, I got my Second Amendment, period. I'm not giving up anything else. You're firm-footed. Same with this conversation. It's not okay to be okay with what they do unless you're fully okay with everything they do, even if they take it to the extreme versus something that just doesn't affect me.
Someone has to define what is extreme versus what is not. That's my point.
Well, if you put me as president, I'll define it.
Well, I bet you would.
When someone clearly says the facts and they expect me to otherwise, when someone displays non-factual things, I don't care what they think. When they say 2 + 2 = 5, BS, because I know it equals 4. Now they can convince me that, well, if you take 1.9 plus 2.3.1, you get 5, or however the math works out. But it's a long division. It's so cut and dry. I can tell you now that our adversaries, China and Russia, don't have this problem. They don't have it like this. I guarantee they won't put up with that nonsense because when our military have one purpose, and that is to maim and kill, destroy, get in and out. Well, it used to be. I don't know what it is now, but an effective military, their one job is to get in and out. It's not to decide who's hurt in the process. And you take the elite soldiers like the SEALs, the Green Berets, they are a certain caliber of man that don't, come around. Like they're a certain breed. You start forcing gender neutral crap into their life. Screw this. This is ridiculous. Because it is, and they're going to go find something else to do. That's going to deplete our military from the warriors, the elite warriors, into more of a, like how you say, Barb, it's a nanny state. And that is, Russia are not doing that. They're not doing that. They're like, yeah, you don't belong here. You should go do something else if you don't know who and what you are.
course, China and Russia, they
No,
also
back-
figured out that you got to not teach the people how to read. It's just problematic when you teach the people how to read. It makes a mess, you know?
They shut their
One extreme
shut
or the
their,
other.
their internet off. Yeah, that's true.
No, I
that's
think
true.
that honestly,
But-
Wade and I think actually agree when it comes to, I agree. It's a nonsensical thing to have a man pretending to be a woman. All I'm saying is that for us to actually be able to sit here and say that doesn't make sense, then we have to be willing. It can't just go off of our personal set of guidelines, like amongst us three here, to have that we have a common sense about this or what have you. Because if we embrace relativism elsewhere, then you got to explain how you wouldn't embrace it here also. The mess is bigger than just whether or not a man lost to a woman in a race. Like it's bigger than that.
What is? Sorry, John.
No, I'm about to go
Please.
off on a tangent of something else. Go ahead and
Woohoo.
pick up.
Go ahead.
Yay for the tangent.
No, I was just gonna say, what is every living's purpose? Flower, man, fish, whatever's purpose. The only purpose it has in life is to reproduce, to carry on its genes, its whatever it is, to the next cycle, to the next one. That's the only reason why it ever existed, is to procreate. Now, some can, some cannot. I'm not saying it's wrong or it's right, but I'm saying that is a common goal. Otherwise, that genome dies with that person. Unfortunately, it's a sad story, but it's true. It happens to the dawn of man. The dawn of life. The only reason is to reproduce. And if you can't do that, I'm not saying you're like useless, but you definitely are not looking for to continue your DNA, right?
Well,
No?
Darwin agrees with you. It feels like a
Barb, the
really
way you're looking at me.
small way to live. But I think Darwin would say, "Woo, yay for the whole."
So Barb, if you were to dye his beard a little darker, he'd probably look like Glenn Klein, right? Is that where we're going?
I think he needs to sort of. Hey, how do you feel about oregano oil? Is that a big thing for you?
Oh, wait! If
All right.
you only watched that episode, you'd get the inside
You really are
joke.
missing out. Okay. All right, take us to your tangent, John.
I might have to. Yeah.
All right, so
Let's
Leah
keep it
Thomas. Leah Thomas is the swimmer for UPenn, and she's been crushing record after record. What is your
men do that in
yeah when you go up against women as a man?
Yeah.
No, but so she has been on testosterone reducers, I guess is what you call them, for about a year. And they're the NCAA is allowing them. Yeah.
And the Olympics too. Yeah. Not just NCAA. The Olympics, you have to have under a certain baseline for testosterone for a full year to compete in the Olympics. In the Olympics, there's there's this older white male doing powerlifting. That's, well, hell, I can keep on going.
No.
Stop. Another girl. Hey, I mean, is that the women's rights got hijacked by trans?
Oh, seriously,
rights.
I don't know why the Title IX advocates are not all over this. Like, it seems like the most offensive thing. The thing is, like, okay, so they've got to be under a certain level of active production of testosterone. But the thing is, and you guys are living proof of it, you don't actually get to undo the work of testosterone for how many years. Like, if you have a certain bulk of shoulder, that stays, even if you're trying not to produce more. So I don't
like I was doing steroids for 40 years and then stopped and said, okay,
like I'm clean now.
I'm ready to go. Yeah,
I'm ready to be a girl. Exactly.
Steroids for 40 years. Yeah,
it's
okay.
That's bullshit. That's what I'm saying.
But
if you can't,
But the swimmer, what do you tell that swimmer? Are you competing against boys or girls?
Go compete against men.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're biologically male, go compete against men.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
To follow Leah Thomas, I'm going to take you to Fallon Fox. Have y'all heard of her or him?
That's a really unfortunate first name. Okay.
This is this is a new one to me. I'm surprised I haven't heard of Fallon Fox. Who is this Fallon Fox person? This is
Scared to
so-
Google it. Go ahead.
Brazil.
So your dream boy Joe Rogan even made a comment on Fallon Fox. Fallon Fox is an MMA transgender athlete. He
yes,
turned into a
heard.
she, and
Yes.
she has been destroying several women. In fact,
I've heard this. Yes,
He
In
became
fact,
is that what you said? He became, a
became a
she,
she.
and
And
destroyed women. Okay.
he's been doing so much damage that he actually fractured a skull of another female athlete.
Well, that's why you
Horrible
teach your
eye
sons
socket,
not
right?
to beat
Right
up girls. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's not.
So of course Joe
unless
Rogan jumped out
I
and he's like,
decide-
no.
and then whoop some. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not right.
I mean, I don't think it's right in any way, but the problem is what does this person go compete as?
I don't understand why that's the question. They could. Well, I mean, I think that if what you are determined to do is to self-mutilate, then I think that you have probably given up the right to competitive sports. It's not. I shouldn't say it that way. It's not a right. The privilege of competitive sports.
So no sports at all if you're going through either the guy to a girl or girl to a guy.
I think not on a competitive level. There's rec leagues. You can do that.
But what I really want to see is a girl transition to a guy, some guy's butt. That would be funny to see. But you don't see that. You don't see the switch of it. You see guys downsizing the girls in order to whooping, in the girls' sport. You don't see the girl going up to the guy sport and competing.
Oh, but
funny.
wait,
What?
Wade.
I was gonna say. I feel like
there's more.
My next one. Mac
trinkets.
Beggs. Yeah, Mac Beggs out of Euless, Texas.
Ulysses.
Yeah, Ulysses, however you want to say it.
Ulysses.
She is changing from a female to a male. She was a high school athlete, a high school wrestler.
Can I just pause that for a second? Why on earth would you opt to give up boobs?
I
don't get
she
that.
Didn't have boobs.
Like none at all. Just like biologically born without them.
Well, I'll say this: if
I
she
don't know.
was
It just doesn't sound like fun.
wrestling and she was gonna in a man's world, she would have had to gain some weight, i.e., boobs, in order to fulfill that role. I would imagine. I don't know that ripped 110-pound, I guess, in the 120-pound division. Hard to say. I'm just saying it seems so unlikely that a girl of any caliber could compete with a man that's in a somewhat of a professional environment. It's I see it in track and field where they'll do the dual relay with the girls and guys, take 2 guys and 2 girls, and they run their relay together, and their splits are 15 seconds there, and you're like, Jesus, like that, unmatchable in any capacity. Now that's interesting to me, but I'm sorry.
So Mac, she actually won the championship 2 years in a row, 2017 and 2018. And the trick to that one, though, is she at the time was taking testosterone. So is she supposed to compete against the girls or the guys?
This is where I think you cannot have, despite what Disney tells us, you can't actually have everything that you dream about. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're going to make a choice. It's either more important to you to, be hopped up on testosterone, in which case that alters your performance. I'm sorry. It's
alters everything about you. Personality, the way you think.
How much you shave.
If you can't take steroids, why could you take testosterone?
Doesn't make sense.
Boosters. Yeah. It's a form of steroid. That's all it is. I mean, when you start to bend the lines of the truth and start to make it whatever you want to do, you stop living and it becomes propaganda. You stop when science and the truth stops becoming, when you can't question it, then it's just propaganda. You know what I mean? It's it's not real, and they keep spreading.
But we're
it
not
like,
talking about
yeah,
COVID.
this is an everyday thing. No,
So hypothetical, let's take back the MMA fighter. If it were a girl that is changing into a man and now is going to compete against men, are you okay with it,
No.
Wade?
no way. There's no way in hell. There's no way. If you're not in name, they make you have a weight class for a reason. When you we'll just say wrestle, you're in the weight classes so that the big boy doesn't crush the little boy after they wrestle. So what is the difference in a man or female? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You're a different class. It's not the same. It can't be done. It shouldn't be.
Maybe unless it's okay for all the men to be taking similar doses of testosterone that she's taking, and then maybe they could compete.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
but then you're going to
exactly.
run into that
A
issue. You're going to get
fair
somebody
playing
like
field.
me.
This is what I'm saying. It's
You're
not safe. It's not, but this is not actually. Yeah, you can't have it all. You can't have it both ways.
Somebody's
Is that like-
changing-
Just like it's
Somebody's
Disneyland.
somebody's changed my channel. I'm no longer.
Yeah, I was like, I see a basketball playing behind you. Dude. What is that all
I thought
about?
you were giving us like,
there it is.
like a visual aid. It's like, as we can see here, a very masculine woman playing basketball.
No, but the issue I have with that particular scenario is if I'm a UFC fighter and all of a sudden I know I'm going up against a girl that's turning into a guy, I don't want to compete against her because I don't want to, in a sense, fight a girl. I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Right. I feel like we
Well,
lost Wade.
We lost Wade. Wade's bedtime happened or something.
Okay. I thought maybe you offended him or something. I'm like, that
No.
wasn't supposed to
I
happen
think it
till
was
the
his
end.
bedtime is what's going on. There he is.
Yeah, you guys just cut out, dude. I don't know what the hell happened. Anyway,
That's
We
what
said
happens
really-
when you
I
live
missed
in the
something?
sticks.
Yeah, deep stuff while you were gone, but can't repeat it. It's over.
All right, guys,
we're moving on now.
We're gonna move on to the next one, and Wade, I'll just actually have to go back and rewatch this episode to find out what we said.
Yeah.
All right, so it's been kind of talked about in the news over the last few months, and it's still kind of lingering around, if I'm not mistaken. But Russia is possibly going to go to. Okay, sorry, newsflash. It's looking like Russia might go to war with Ukraine. And in doing so, if that takes place, our President Biden has said that we would, in a sense, step up and help them. At the same time, Japan, one of our biggest allies, has had some run-ins with China recently, and there is a possibility that maybe they even go to war, which I guess would mean we would also intervene in that. So to say we might actually go to war with Russia or China, what do y'all think about what's going on?
I think we've been at war. It's been sorry, Barb, I went ahead and took this from you.
No, I was waiting for you to take it.
I think we have been in war for time, a cold war, like information steal, hide our energy grid, our gas, whatever you want to name. We've been attacked cyberly, right? Like through and they've found information. Huawei is a Chinese company that is presently, in beds with the CCP, and they're functioning in the United States like a regular company, stealing information, passing along to China. I'm not saying that a lot of people aren't doing that, but they're the biggest offenders out of the whole group. And I would say, I don't know much about the USSR, but Russia, that I would imagine that, well, hell, we saw their hack into the meat the meat industry was at this time last year, right? Wasn't there like a hack at some, was it a meat facility or no? It was a gas line. Yeah, it was the Eastern Seaboard.
yeah.
It was the Eastern Seaboard. Yeah, the Eastern Seaboard gas. The whole Eastern Seaboard was shut off from gasoline because of a cyber attack, in which they paid to get this shit back on. So if it happens once, it's going to happen again. It's a revolving door. It goes back, which echoes my point. The main and only purpose of the government is to keep its people safe, and they're doing a lousy job from every angle of keeping us safe. From monopolies to attacks to whatever it is, whatever you want to say is, they do a lousy job. And that's, we've been at war. Now, we won't ever go to a ground war because there's nothing to be gained by that. That's a last ditch. We're coming over because you can't stop us type thing. They won't shed 500,000 bodies in war anymore. Those days are over with. It's more of a control game. It's more of a, we will get you to do what we want you to do through control through the schools or through the banking system, whatever system that they have control over, they will use that as leverage to control you in your day-to-day life, i.e. working for you. It's like putting a frog in a boiling pot of water. It's going to jump out. But if you put it in a cold pot and turn up the heat slowly, it'll cook and it'll stay there because it won't know that it's being cooked.
How do you know
same
this?
Thing if they do it, because I eat frogs, dude. Come on. I like frog legs. But so that's my whole point, is if they do it slow enough, long enough, it becomes normal, and you don't jump into like, oh no, you don't react to it. They do the same thing with gasoline. They incrementally go up with it, so that years from now, when it's up to $5 a gallon, I'm like, well, I don't know how that happened. Just move, you accept it. But if it went dollars to $5, you'd be like, wait on a second, and there'd be massive people going crazy. But if they go slowly, no one says a word.
Well, so it was brought to my attention that we are running out of time for this show. So we're going to jump into the deciding factor. I've only got no, I blame myself for letting you come on, but no, I'm just kidding. It's been good. The war topic, I'll only have one thing to say, but let's hit up the deciding factor real quick before you go, Barb. And I'll lead us off here. So the Rittenhouse, I don't think really anything has changed, in my opinion, in our conversation about Rittenhouse. But it is still sad for me to see that people get really pissed off and they can't distinguish the fact and reality versus their morals is what it comes down to, right? Because those people that say he should have never been there, he should spend time in jail because he was there and he shouldn't have been, I call BS on it. He had every right to be there, and everything that he did was self-defense, and that's what our laws give us. There was no law that he broke in doing what he did. It's black and white. The problem you have is people put their morals in it. And when you put your morals in it, that's where things get messy. And which is why I think you see CNN and NBC and several other stations, even Fox, that will push a narrative because they know that your morals and your beliefs will overtake common sense and reality. As far as the transgender, I actually like your idea, Barb, your option C, which is they shouldn't compete on either side unless we make a transgender avenue, right? Because I don't think you can say it's fair either way. You can't have guys beating up on girls, and you can't have girls beating up on girls while taking enhancers. It's bullcrap. So stay away from it. The deal with the possibility of war with Russia and China, you know what I'm going to say about that one? Don't trust the media. the people that have secret clearances are probably getting the truth, but you're not going to get what they get, I'm sure. So I'll leave it at that. Barb, what did you gather from everything?
I'm gonna nitpick. I hate doing this, really sorry. I'm gonna nitpick. I don't think what you mean is that the problem is that people bring their morals into it. I think you mean that the problem is that people bring their emotions into it. Because if there's a thing that's been missing in all of the topics we've talked about, it's morality. So actually, I think that my response, my deciding factor for all three of these is the same. By what standard? You have to know your worldview. You have to know what you think about the world. And from there, raise real men, raise women who are womanly, because we are in a world that is in dire need of real men, the sort of men that can protect small businesses, the sort of men that can become lawyers who prosecute bad guys, the sort of men who can become police officers who are not afraid to enact the law. And I think that if there is a way to save this country, and I'm honestly not sure if there is, it will be through raising good men and raising good women who are not afraid to be women. So there's my 2
Well
cents.
said. Well said.
All right. Wade, wrap it up for us.
All right. So what my take from it all is that, to echo Barb's statement, is that if everyone would take responsibility for their own actions and their own life, that and to build that life in a moral way, in a way that makes sense to you, whether you're gay or straight, whatever that is, but it's around a shell of truth, because you live in that bubble of truth that cannot be altered. And so I would say that and this goes to all three, is if people could just take the truth and look at it for what it is, and not what it could be or what they think it should be, but what it is, and leave their emotions out of it and let the facts talk for themselves. I mean, I can get hot all day about the Cowboys and their defensive line and this and that, but that don't mean that they're going to change. That I can wish them to have a sack or an interception, but it ain't going to happen because they lack the ability. And so echo that if we all lived in the truth, it would be a much better place to live. And that goes around the whole horn, around through transgender to, this Rittenhouse, the whole 9 yards. Just living the truth, and all will be revealed. It'll be it's easier that way. You don't have to remember so much stuff if you live in the truth.
Nice. Well, this was definitely a different episode for us. I'd love to know what your comments are, whether you like this setup or not, whether you want to hear more about what's in the news, what's popular, and get our 2 cents from it, or if you want us to tackle those unique and strange topics like we've always done. Keep in mind that if you are subscribed to our channel and you have received that notification button and pushed it, you can join us live and share your comments in our chat rooms. And even you can end up on our show as a added bonus guest, I guess you would call it. So make sure you chime in next time. Wade, thanks for showing up and stepping in. It was good to have you and good to see you again.
Pleasure. I enjoyed, John. Thank you, Barb. Thank you. I really enjoy this. I hope to come on again. I got a lot more to say.
Good deal. Barb,
Thanks,
I missed you, girl. I'm glad to see you back. And you're still staying slim. So are you still on the diet?
No, I'm pretty much eating like a person now. It's kind of nice. But yeah, I've stayed the same weight, eating like a person. It's nice.
Nice. Well, there you go. All right. Well, guys, until next time, we will see y'all then. But for now, everyone, say bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
This has been another episode of The Deciding Factor, giving you food for thought on real life issues. Be sure to click, like, and subscribe to this podcast, as well as all your big social media outlets, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Don't forget to check out our website at thedecidingfactorpodcast.com and give us comments and feedback. Until next time, stay safe and remember to keep an open mind.